Hello everybody, it's time to get into the Q&A video. This being the Jeff the Killer Q&A for the Jeff the Killer fan film that I am currently working on. Of course, there are probably some questions not related to that, but most of this is related to the Jeff the Killer movie. And I guess I just won't say any more. We'll just answer the questions, and that will be enough. Awesome. Okay, so starting with Moon on Paws and Claws. Let me see, you got 3 questions. Awesome. How's he gonna act? Is Jeff gonna be like mean, or is he gonna act like a psychotic killer? I guess he's gonna be kind of like a psychotic killer. The way I'm portraying him in this movie is kind of like a sort of antisocial, aggressive, kind of like internally aggressive person. Some like anger, like there's not a lot of external lashing out, but there's like built up anger, very antisocial, and then when you get into the incident, being the disfiguring moment, then everything just sort of comes out and he just becomes a nut job. I believe that's the politically correct terminology. So yeah, we're kind of going into that. I don't want to say that I'm portraying him as like an incel character, but there might maybe some influence taken from that type of mindset of just antisocial, angry people who let that build up, and then when their emotions do come out, it's very ugly. This would be just like an over-the-top version where instead of going on Reddit and saying I hate women, he stabs people. I think that answers your question. Either way, he's going to be like a not well in the head, a disturbed individual. And what like things are probs gonna go on? So I guess you mean like what's gonna happen in the movie. I'm assuming that's what you mean by that. This is going to be a loose adaptation of the 2011 story. And I guess I should just get this kind of out of the way because not everybody knows this. There are like 3 main versions of Jeff the Killer. There's the 2008 version by, I think it's Sesher or Seshwire. I've heard a few pronunciations for it. But that's considered the original, like the picture, the creepy Photoshop picture may have existed before the Sesher version. But the Sesher version, it's less a story and more just general lore. Because I guess this was supposed to be like a role-playing character. I don't know. The YouTuber Pastra did a much more in-depth video talking about that. But there's that version. There's the 2011 version, which is the famous story most people are familiar with. And then there's a 2015 kind of like remake of the 2011 story where it was actually like a contest to try and take this shitty story and make it into something good. And I think it's called referred to as the Banning K Jeff the Killer. But either way, those are the 3 main versions that most people seem to refer to. And I'll just say I'm kind of taking all 3 versions and I'm taking a little bit from each of those and using it in my adaptation. But we're kind of following the basic flow of the 2011 story. Jeff moves to a new town, has beef with the character Randy, which leads to a fight. Eventually, he gets disfigured, goes crazy. I am also making some major changes, which I guess I can talk about. Some major changes that I'm definitely going to get a million comments from people that don't know how adaptations work. I'm going to get a million comments from those people saying, like, it's not supposed to be this. You don't know. Like every little minor thing you change in an adaptation, people, they're really annoying about making sure you know that you got it wrong. Of course, I didn't get it when I do these adaptations. I'm not getting details wrong. I'm making deliberate changes to suit my version. But the big changes I'm making in this version, Jeff, his brother Liu, and the Randy character. I'm not having the other bullies in it because they're not really necessary. So it's just going to be Randy. But those three characters, obviously they're teenagers in the 2011 story. I'm going to make them all adults. They're going to be like late 20s, early 30s. Because myself and the actors are all within that age range. And I just think it'd be stupid if we tried to play teenagers. It just wouldn't. I think we're at a point, that's pushing it. That won't work. And I'm not going to do a casting call for teenagers because I just feel weird doing that. This isn't like a big Hollywood production or anything. It's a little fan-made film. So me and my friends play the characters. And we're going to age up the characters. And this is kind of where we get into the 2008 version. In that version, the original version, they are adults. Jeff and Liu are adults. Randy's not in that version, but in my version, I'm going to make them adults just so it's not cringe. I mean, you can only avoid cringe so much. It's going to happen, but I'm going to try. So that's one major change is they're going to be adults. And Jeff is going to be living with his brother and his brother's girlfriend. So those are kind of, the mother and father aren't in this version. I just kind of like, I kind of had to like think like, okay, like if they are adults, then what makes sense more so in this situation. And so there's elements from the Sesher version, but then a lot from the 2011 version and a tiny bit from the 2015 story. I feel like I'm ranting on this part a lot, so I'll just say roughly it's the typical story, but some big changes are being made to accommodate my situation. So yeah, I think I answered your question. And then is he going to have a raspy or a chill tone voice? Still kind of figuring that out. I haven't recorded any of his voice work yet. I've shot a lot of footage, has Jeff, but nothing with the voice yet. That'll be dubbed later mostly, mainly because the makeup, I can't really talk with that on. But I don't want it to be too raspy and over the top. I'm gonna try and work on the voice to make it creepy. I just want it to sound like just a crazy, creepy person, but not too over the top. I do know, I don't want to give too much away, but because of his disfigurement, part of his lips are going to be messed up. So I'm actually going to try when I record the lines post being burned, I'm going to try and hold my lips open like this so we can get that sort of dialect of like just if this area was exposed. So that much I know. So there will be like a bit of a speech impediment due to the missing part of his lips there. But yeah, still kind of figuring out the details on that. So, okay. Moving on to the next asker of questions, Dante Graves, who has collabed on some of my videos before. If you want to check those out, he did voice work for the Strawman Part 3. It's probably the best work that he did for me, so awesome. His questions: do a crossover with me. This is just a demand. Okay, well, would love to do another crossover of some sort. So yeah, just kind of let me know what kind of stuff you want to do. We can maybe work it out. I'm not opposed to that. And then now on to the actual questions now. Can Tiki Toby defeat Dante Graves? I'm going to say probably not. Just so we know, Dante Graves is the character that he portrays on his YouTube channel. You should check it out. It's a fun little series that he does. People, trying to give you some promotion here, Dante. But yeah, I'm gonna say probably not. Tiki Toby is a bit of a skimpy little twink, and Dante Graves has regular experience fighting different monsters and maniacs. So yeah, I think Dante could. I don't think this one's, not to crush the hopes and dreams of the big Tiki Toby fans, but this one seems like obvious. Um, and then top 5 horror icons. I should have prepared for this one. I should have made a list beforehand, especially since I read all of these comments beforehand, but I didn't think to do this because I'm stupid. But okay, so I'm going to do my top 5 personal favorites because obviously this is subjective. In no particular order because again I didn't really plan, but what are my favorites? Definitely the Phantom of the Opera, specifically the Lon Chaney rendition, but I love all versions of the Phantom of the Opera. That is my favorite horror character, period. I could go on a long-winded rant about that forever. Would love to do some sort of adaptation of the Phantom someday, but that seems like such a huge ordeal. But yeah, love the Phantom ever since I was like a wee little lad, because I've always been into like the classic horror movies and stuff. Then definitely Leatherface. He's my favorite of the more kind of modern era horror icons. I'm just looking around my room of all the shit that I have just to see who else would rank as my favorites. Definitely Pinhead. Hellraiser, definitely one of my all-time favorite horror films, and I mean all of the Cenobites are just like just works of art to the eyes. So that's 3. We need 2 more. Who else am I gonna go with? God, there's so many. Why do you got to do this to me, Dante? You got to drop a massive question like that on me. Good Lord. So you could ask me this question like 3 different days throughout the year. I'll probably give you 3 different answers, honestly. Let's see. Probably definitely going to go with the Frankenstein monster. That's another one that I'm really a big fan of, especially the Karloff version, but I mean, I love the Mary Shelley novel, the Hammer version. I just love Frankenstein. The Frankenstein monster, I guess, just so we don't get that guy in the comments. Yeah, so that's 4. Oh man, this is such a hard one because there's so many good ones. Like if you gave me like a more like specific answer, like favorite icons of the 80s, favorite slashers, favorite black and white era monsters. I mean, that makes it easier. But when it's just the broad spectrum of horror icons as a whole, I don't know. I think for the last one, I'll go with Blade from Puppet Master, because that is one of my favorite horror franchises. Again, since I was a wee little kid, I don't know why my parents let me watch those movies. It's really weird because they're typically super, conservative in a lot of areas. But for whatever reason, that as long as we fast forwarded through the boobies or any parts with excessive cussing, the violence was fine. That's fine. You could see that, but boobies and a lot. If someone drops an F-bomb here and there, that's fine. But if it's like, fuck this, fuck that, fuck you, then they would fast forward through that. But yeah. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Yeah, I feel confident with those picks. I'll probably think of more later and then be like, darn, I should have said that. But for now, I think those are pretty confident picks. The first 3 definitely. Phantom, Leatherface, Pinhead, those 3 definitely. Okay. Then moving on to the voice of Jack Muth. My question is this Jeff the Killer look going to be done using prosthetic makeup or a mask? So I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I am going to be using a prosthetic piece that will be applied using spirit gum, which, if we don't know, spirit gum is glue made to put stuff on your skin. It's for makeup and stuff. Yeah, just like one solid piece. It almost fits like a mask. Like if I put a strap around it, it could just be worn as a mask. But the playing with spirit gum around the eyes and everything gets it a little bit, firmer, and then the mouth moves with my mouth. So, yeah, I had a lot of issues working on Toby versus Jeff when I did the Jeff the Killer makeup for that. So, just trying to like make up for that. Just so we understand, the makeup in Toby versus Jeff, that's not like a deliberate choice. That's not how I wanted it to look. I had all these plans to make it look better, but a lot of shit got in the way. I wanted a whole day just to test out the makeup, but because this was during COVID, I was like, let's just try and limit the days we get together. Like we'll just test the makeup and shoot the same day. We'll just go with it. Ended up not working out. The pieces I made didn't really fit the actor, and he didn't shave. I told him to shave beforehand, but then we had to reschedule, and I forgot to tell him to shave again, so he probably forgot. So it's like I had to put ill-fitting prosthetics over hair. So it's like, shit, I'm just gonna have to put a bunch of latex over that. And then he mentioned in the middle of it that he has to leave at a certain time. So it's like, okay, we're fucked. I'm just going to have to half-ass it. So the makeup in Toby versus Jeff, not how I wanted it to look. I'm not happy with it. Sometimes with movies, you just have to go with it. But with this movie, we're going to make up for that. I've done a few Jeff makeups in the past where I've tried to put on other actors, because I also did Jeff is in the anthology film. And again, I had the same issue. The prosthetics I made didn't fit the actor, because I sculpt them over like a styrofoam head, so it's like a one size fits most situation. And whenever I make prosthetics that way, they fit me just fine, but then they never fit anyone else. I don't know. All my friends, I just have uniquely shaped heads, I suppose. But yeah, this time I'm playing Jeff. The makeup fits fine. I've shot a lot of footage with the makeup already. It looks good, in my opinion. I think you guys are going to like it. All right, moving on to... You guys got some weird usernames. You're killing me here. Uniplush Studio 86. Okay, nailed that. You said it was going to be a feature film. Is it going to be like 1 hour in some... I messed that up a little bit. You said it was going to be a feature film. Is it going to be like 1 hour and something seconds? No. Okay, so the feature film thing, that was part of the original plan. So when I was going to do the 15 movies for Creepypasta Phase 2, that whole thing is canceled, because I realized I was getting a little too deep into doing too much stuff, and the juice just was not worth the squeeze. So I canceled the Phase 2 plan, which meant that the feature-length Jeff movie got canceled as well. So after sitting on it for a while and being able to breathe, I was like, I can probably still do a Jeff movie. I can't do a feature one. So it was originally going to be at least an hour. The current movie I'm making now, this is basically a completely different project. This one is going to be probably closer to 20 minutes, maybe longer. The current edit that I have right now is up to 18 minutes, and I have quite a bit of footage left to shoot. So we'll say it'll be closer to 20 or 25 minutes. Which still, it's still not bad, but yeah, it will not be a feature-length movie. I can't do that. That's like way too much work on a project where I'm not going to make any monetization out of it. I had to like realize that I can't push myself that hard for something where I can't really get that much out of it. This is a scaled down Jeff movie. So, yeah, moving on to Yawning Giant. He asks, why are you so old? And why do you love bullying your friends? I love that you ask me that after you ask, why am I so old? So, Yawning Giant, if you don't know, is part of the podcast. You guys should listen to that, by the way. I'm just gonna move on. Awesome. Moving on to Editor Cookie E. Let's see what your questions are. Maybe I've ignored it, but how old are you? I'm 32. Which again is why we will not be playing Jeff as a teenager. Because I feel like that would be a little cringe. Can you make more creepypasta vids? Maybe. We'll see what happens after Jeff. I've been getting diminishing returns in terms of views on the creepypasta movies. The Tiki Toby movie from 2018, for years was my most viewed video that I ever put on the internet. And then each new creepypasta movie some of them did pretty okay. They got thousands of views, but it's like each one has less. And Candle Cove, which should have had 1,000 views by now, is still at I think it's at 600. So, I might do more after the Jeff movie, but it'll definitely be very short movies, just for fun. Expect more things like if I have a creepypasta movie playlist. You can see all of the movies I did. You can expect ones that are more in line with The Midnight Dancer, A Bug in My Shoe, How to Play Hide and Seek Alone is a recent one. Just very short, simple ones, just because it's really not worth it to do these big projects right now. I said for a while Tiki Toby was my most viewed video on the internet. I started using TikTok recently, so if you want to look up Creepy Earl on TikTok, that's my page. I'm already doing so much better on TikTok. There's a video I posted not even a week ago that already has 300,000 views, which Tiki Toby is I think 280 something thousand views, so it already beat Tiki Toby. A short little effortless video of a little creature puppet that I'm just moving with strings. Yeah. So that's a long answer, but basically, maybe I'll do more stuff. I kind of wish I could do adaptations of others. I like to do an Edgar Allan Poe adaptation someday. That'd be fun. There's a Stephen King story I wanted to adapt. I don't know. I think it'd be fun to do other short story adaptations, but we'll see what happens. How will you make the costume for Jeff the Killer, and what will the short film be like? Okay, so the costume, mainly, you see I got just some black dress pants that I usually wear. So those are the pants. I'm also using my red shoes that I'm currently wearing. Then I just have a white hoodie. Actually, it's more of a very light gray hoodie. Shh, don't tell anyone. It's actually really hard to find a plain white hoodie. I don't know. I can never find one. But I already had this light gray hoodie, so I'm using that. And that's it for the costume, and then there's the makeup prosthetic I talked about. So after he gets burned, I'm also using black hairspray to cover my hair black for certain parts. There's a few parts early on where I'm in the distance and I just put a black wig on. I realized quickly that it doesn't look too good, so I'm not going to be seeing a lot of that. But yeah, nothing too complicated. Pretty typical. The only thing that I put any real work into is the makeup. I sculpted an original design. Because my goal with this movie is, and I guess this can kind of answer your next part of the question, what will the film be like? I want this movie to make Jeff the Killer scary again. assuming he was ever scary to begin with. People claim that that original picture gave them the willies or whatever, so I guess people used to be scared of Jeff. But he's kind of, a meme, a joke now, so I want to try and make a movie that's going to be very grungy and creepy. Actually, if you go to my playlists, I have a playlist that is like inspirations for Jeff the Killer. So I can probably just pull that up just so you can see it. Playlists. Okay, I'm assuming you can probably see it. Make sure my face. I don't think I'm in the way. I'll just shrink myself a little bit just in case. Just in case. So there's this playlist here, Jeff Inspirations. There's 5 videos in it right now. I'm probably going to add a few more just here and there. This is just for fun, but this will kind of give you an idea of things that are sort of inspiring the visual aesthetic and tone of what I want to do with this Jeff movie. Maybe it'll make sense to you. Maybe it won't. I don't know. I can probably just click. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, there we go. View full playlist. God, I keep moving my stupid face out of the way. Ugh. But yeah, you can see some of the stuff in here. Like I said, I'm going to add a few more things. It's just for fun, but it will, if you're curious, give you an idea of the kind of vibe we're going for with this movie. And again, I might add some more stuff. And after the movie comes out, I'm deleting that playlist. It's not a permanent thing, so check it out while you can, I guess. I think I answered that question. Just a general question. I guess I should, keep in. That was from Unicorn Kills, and then this next one is Tormask508. That's quite a username. You guys are keeping me on my toes with these. That's awesome. Just a general question. How do you get inspiration for your films? That's an awesome question. How do I get inspiration? There's a lot of things. I think the obvious answer is I watch movies. I read books, novels, short stories. I read comics. I go to like places like flea markets and collect weird oddities. I just walk outside and look at nature. A lot of things, for one reason or another, kind of inspire me. But I think the main thing is watching movies, reading books, just consuming other people's stories and other people's artwork, and just kind of like, I don't know, there's something about like you're watching a really good horror movie and there's like creepy atmosphere. Maybe there's a really good monster, good lighting and effects, and then you just see that. You rub your chin and you're like, that is so freaking cool. I want to do that. I want to do my version of what they're doing. And that's just like, it gets you pumped. Like when I'm building my puppets and effects and things, I love playing like, just if I can find any like good stuff, like behind the scenes documentaries for movies, especially ones that show a lot of the, like, I just love seeing like a warehouse where the special effects team is building everything, especially if it's like behind the scenes footage from like a 80s movie. So it's all shot on, it's like fuzzy VHS. It's kind of like, it's cozy. Something about the VHS stuff is just cozy. It's just like that fuzziness to it. But then you just see, and effects guys in the 80s and 90s were just, they don't make them like that anymore. They're all just like, had like their mullets and heavy metal t-shirts that just look like these grungy dudes. It's a vibe. It's awesome. I love it. But yeah, there's a lot of things that inspire me. I think another big inspiration is probably dreams. which what inspires my dreams. I guess it's just whatever I'm consuming in my day-to-day life. But whatever you consume, your brain has to digest it while you're sleeping. And sometimes you have these horrendous, heinous nightmares. And because you're in a dream, you don't know that it's just a dream. You don't know that it's fake until you wake up. And that's like the ultimate form of a rush to me. The fact that in a dream, well, in real life, you're like, monsters aren't real. So if I see a monster, I'm like, probably a guy in a costume, right? You know, my rational brain kicks in. But then in a dream, you see a monster and it's like, monsters are real now? Shit, what am I can't, my brain can't process this information. And then you wake up and it's like, oh my God, I'm having a fucking heart attack. I don't know. But yeah, I do use a lot of my nightmares to influence, because that's like the only time anymore where I'm really, truly scared. And if you're doing like horror content, you have to feel afraid at some point in your life. Otherwise, it's kind of like making a comedy, but you have no sense of humor. It's gonna suck, right? I remember there's like this filmmaker in like an interview. He's like a real tough guy, his arms crossed. It was like it was some sort of horror movie documentary, and they're asking people like, what scares you? And he's just like, nothing scares me. And he's trying to say that like it's badass, but all I can think of is, well, then your horror movies are going to be shit. They're not going to be scary because you don't understand the feelings you're trying to project. So I'm going on a big tangent about this. I feel like even if I go on a tangent, I'm basically answering your question somewhere there. But yeah, art and media plus my nightmares, those are the big inspirations. Okay, I think we got that. Moving on to J. Deed It 9798. I probably don't have to read all those numbers, but anyway. Will the Jeff movie be set before or after the events of Toby versus Jeff? Okay, that's a good question. I want to get this out of the way right now. Just hopefully everybody will see this video, because I've mentioned this already, but damn. I've mentioned this already, but it's been in like update videos or in a live stream, and not everybody sees those. And I always delete the update videos because we don't need to keep those. Don't watch old update videos. Do something better with your time. But this Jeff movie, hold on. Just want to make sure I didn't fuck up my microphone. This Jeff movie is going to be a separate continuity. So this is not connected to Toby versus Jeff. So yeah, I kind of just wanted to like start completely fresh with Jeff the Killer. I feel like the version we did in Toby versus Jeff, one, I already told you I don't love the way the makeup looked. And then two, that was kind of a very goofy, like one-line spitting kind of Jeff, which I feel like Jeff the Killer can be kind of like Freddy Krueger in the sense of, in the original, like the first two Nightmare on Elm Street movies, you have like a really creepy, scary Freddy. I just think Freddy is the scariest in part two. The first movie's probably the better movie overall, but I don't know, they're both really good. But those early movies, Freddy Krueger is like just scary. He's like intense. And then you get to the later sequel, like get to like part 4 or 5, Freddy's dead. Then he's the goofy one-line spitting, putting on his sunglasses. Welcome to prime time, bitch. All that goofy shit. Kind of like really a lot of good horror icons have their serious version and then their campy, goofy version. Like even like go back to the Universal Frankenstein movies, the 1931 Frankenstein with Boris Karloff. It's just like, it's a very creepy, like he just feels like a walking corpse. It's a beautiful performance. But then you get to the later end of that franchise, and they got like a bulkier actor to play the monster, and that's kind of when you get more of the kind of cliche holding his arms out like he's just this big clunky monster. Love both versions of that, but again, it's like there's a serious creepy version of the Frankenstein monster and then a more campy Halloween-y fun version. I feel like Jeff the Killer, the same rules apply. So Toby versus Jeff was kind of like our goofy, campy, silly Jeff. This version, like I said, we're trying to make him scary again. So he's gonna be. I feel like I feel like I'm kind of like thinking of that movie Maniac a lot. The 1980 version of Maniac. I didn't see the Elijah Wood version. I'll get to it eventually. I heard it's good, but if you haven't seen the 1980 movie Maniac, it's really good. It's really creepy, fucked up movie, but it's just like a good character study of just a messed up, crazy guy, and I kind of want that energy. That was again a long tangent, just to answer your question of this is a separate continuity. So yeah, and then you also asked. Also, just so you know, my friend and I included your character Frank in our RPG Maker Toby game, The Conduit. If you would like to play, it's on Game Jolt. That is awesome, obviously. I did check it out for like a few minutes. I saw your comment already. I'm not great at RPGs or anything. My brain doesn't process those too good, but I'll check it out more later. I think you did I think you gave me a credit on the home page for that, so that's good. That is awesome. I'm going to have to tell the actor who played Frank about that, because he's definitely more of a video game guy than I am, and I think he will get a kick out of that. I mainly just want to try and play the game enough to see your version of my character. I think that's just fun. But yeah, I will definitely check it out more later. That's awesome. I love that. I love that a character that I made is now part of the extended Tiki Toby lore. That's just wonderful. Moving on to Dooms Kemp 1926. They ask, is it going to be like how Jeff became Jeff the Killer, or is it like a follow-up to Jeff versus Toby? And also love your videos so much. Love hearing that. So like I said, this is not going to be connected to Toby versus Jeff at all. And yes, this will be how Jeff became Jeff, basically. This is going to be an origin story. I mentioned this already. I'll just say it again. It is... Lost my train of thought. God damn it. Right. It's mostly related to the 2011 story. I kind of use that as the main framework, but also I'm using a lot from the 2008 Sesher version. It's really a modge podge of those two versions, with a little bit of the Banning K 2015 version. Okay. I love that it, for Mia Diller, by the way, just says, yeah, with a little happy face, and it says, translate to English, and it's just the same. Because what is yeah in a different language? Love the enthusiasm anyway. Okay, finally, RJ Productions 69. Who's going to play Jeff this time? As I mentioned already, I'm going to be playing Jeff. For a multitude of reasons. One, he's going to be the main character. This is going to be kind of like a character study. Again, like the movie Maniac. Go watch that movie, guy. Go watch it. It's a good one. Fucked up, but it's a good one. But yeah, it's going to be kind of like a character study, mainly focused on Jeff, kind of maybe getting into his brain a bit. Kind of like what I did with Tiki Toby also, now that I think about it. So... yeah, because it's going to be a character study, Jeff is going to be throughout most of the movie, which means who's the most available actor? It's this guy. Plus, I mentioned I had issues with the makeup never fitting other actors. If this was a really big production, I would go through the trouble of getting like alginate, putting it over the actor's face, peeling that off, using it to make a plaster recreation of their face, and then sculpt the latex, or not the sculpt the clay on top of that, and then the whole process. If this was a more serious production, I'd do all that, but it's not. This is like I'm funding this out of my own pocket, like I always do. Yeah, so I just thought I'm going to play Jeff because I'm available and I know the makeup prosthetic will fit me. And if it doesn't quite fit, at least I'll be able on my own time to work with it and get it just right. Yeah, so for those reasons, I will be playing Jeff. Which, again, should let you know this is not related to Toby versus Jeff, because in that movie it was played by my friend Zach. I don't know 100% yet. I talked to him about it a little bit. Might get Zach to do some music for this one. He did the music for the Eyeless Jack movie. If you guys, I'm sure you've seen my Eyeless Jack movie, but there's kind of like guitar riffs and things. Kind of like had like a real grungy garage rock sound. So I thought it'd be cool if we could work with him to get some more of that kind of sound. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. I think I've answered all your questions. That was quite a good slew of questions there. I don't think there's anything else to say. I think I told you everything there is to say. There's your video game, dude. It's on my desktop. You probably can't see that, actually, can you? No, you can't. There you go. Now you can probably see it. Hopefully you can't hear that dog having a fit out there. I'm going to shrink myself because I just want to show you guys. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of footage that will be used in this Jeff the Killer movie, because I mentioned in a behind the scenes video that I shot some expired Super 8 film, which is kind of a gamble. If you shoot expired film and try to get it developed, there's no guarantee that it's going to come out or anything. But I just thought it'd be a fun thing to try. So I shot this film, and I'm going to show you some of it now. This footage right here is actually, I didn't shoot this. This is probably shot from the 70s or whatever. I'm going to try and skip this. Like safari zoo footage or something. That's actually neat, but that's not what we're here for. Okay, so this is the footage I shot. As you can see, here's some cemetery footage. Yeah, see the little bird fly off. Woo! Yeah, the film came out. It's very rough and grungy looking, but I like that. That's why I wanted to use like expired film. So yeah, the Jeff movie will be shot using 3 different cameras. There's going to be digital footage, VHS footage, and the VHS footage is kind of more to add a sort of dreamlike quality to certain scenes, and then the Super 8 stuff that I was just showing you, I don't know, that's more just like little snippets in between. I'm probably not going to have any full scenes shot on Super 8 because it's expensive. I was lucky. That only cost me $40 to get that developed, and it came out great. And yeah, $40 is cheap for shooting Super 8. It usually costs a shitload more. But yeah, I'm starting to ramble a little bit. I answered all your questions. I think you're all up to date on what to expect from this movie. Everything I shot so far, I'm loving. I think it's coming out great. I think you guys are really gonna love this movie. Expect it to be released probably the week leading up to Halloween.